source. Of course you do.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala!
All right, 5 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Labor Day morning. I'm going to tell you about two men that I know.
Okay.
I won't name them, but I want to tell you about two men that I know. The first man loves riding in limousines. He loves wearing the best, the finest clothing. He loves women to the extent that he is, I guess you could say, a womanizer, and it's been his lifestyle for as long as I can remember. He's always had more money than I've ever had, and just looking at him now after all these years, it looks like he's really aged a lot and just doesn't seem to be happy, if you ask me. That's my humble opinion. Mm-hmm. Another guy I know, same age, has never been one who really cared for things like limousines and high levels in social circles. He has pretty much lived a life with humble finances, I guess is the best way to say that. And he's not poor, but he just seems so at peace. He grows his own food. When he sees his wife of 30-something years, he's like all smiles. He just loves his family, and he has never had a whole lot of money, but he is happier probably than anybody I know. Mm-hmm. Not that he hasn't had his share of illnesses. They both have. Not that one has had greater blessings from God himself, and God seems to have blessed both men in the same way, but what they've done to themselves is drastically different, in my opinion. Put that on hold just for a second, and I want to tell you that I don't understand Albert Einstein's theory of relativity. I don't really understand it. I mean, I guess I understand the whole idea that things are relative, mm-hmm. but I don't get the whole thing about time and speed of light and all that stuff. It's just over my head. I don't quite get it. But I think I'm going to get another theory of Albert Einstein's that we're going to learn about right now. Dr. Donald Pett is on the phone. I was reading about him, and he's got an interesting thing he wants to talk to us about. The 7+2 formula, which is an Einstein formula, the fastest, easiest, most effective, and enjoyable way to create the four things everybody wants and needs, which is happiness, unconditional love, abundance, and peace. Dr. Donald Pett is a board-certified psychiatrist. He's the director of the nonprofit Educational Community, which offers a self-taught program to teach Einstein's solution. I can't wait to hear about this. Dr. Pett, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you doing in your area?
Oh, well, I'm doing good, and I'm so glad you were willing to come on a holiday like this.
Well, it's really a nice opportunity you provide for me to share what I think we need in the world and everybody needs as well.
Where are you calling from?
I'm in East Hartford, Connecticut. I've been here for quite a while and enjoying it.
Oh, okay, excellent. You heard me describe the two men that I know. Did it surprise you when my conclusion about one being happier than the other?
Doesn't surprise me at all. One of the wealthiest men that I ever met was a multi-billionaire. And I told him he was probably the most miserable person I ever met, and he agreed with me. Because he spent his life making money, but he didn't have much family, he didn't have much spiritual support, but he was quite miserable. On the other hand, I've seen other individuals, as you have too, who have so little, even people who can't move their arms and legs, quadriplegics, who seem to manage to live a relatively happy life. So it's so much a matter of how we deal with what we get. It's not always what we get. Interesting
observation, yeah. So Einstein thought about these things too, apparently, huh?
Well, Einstein, spent the last 10 years of his life advocating for world peace. That was his major interest, and one of the brightest people that we recognize, we think of, when we talk of a bright person, we say he's a real Einstein. So we know we recognize him as a bright individual, but we've ignored his most powerful insight. He told us that if we're going to survive and thrive in this world, we must teach ourselves a newer way of thinking. And instead, we've spent more attention on his formula E=mc², that has resulted in our most powerful weapons of mass destruction. Mm-hmm. And we've ignored what he's told us we must do if we're going to create peace in this world.
That is interesting. Real quick, I want to ask you this part about the E equals MC squared and its connection to the nuclear weapons, the atomic bombs. I'm guessing that he had no intent for that formula to end up with that result. And just as we never intend for a knife to be used to kill somebody, a knife was to put butter on bread, or maybe at the very least to protect yourself from a wild animal. So did he regret giving that formula to the world?
Well, he resisted. He resisted it for a long time, but his colleagues approached him and they said, "Well, what if Hitler got the bomb first? Would you prefer that to the alternative?"
Yeah.
And he very reluctantly sent his letter to our president that started the Manhattan Project. But maybe that's why he spent the last 10 years of his life advocating for world peace. But even many of the people who've been designers of the bomb have later said they wish they would not have done so, because they realize that we've created a monster that can turn us to nothing in a matter of seconds.
How did Einstein earn a living?
Well, I guess through his brains, he certainly won the Nobel Prize, but he gave that to his former wife. But he was a professor at
Was a professor
in residence at Princeton University.
I guess
later years.
I guess I just didn't realize that. So he, if I didn't know Einstein was a scientist and I just kind of knew things that we know about his personality, I would say this guy is an artist. I wouldn't think this guy was a scientist, because he sort of had that artist kind of air about him.
He's got that wild hair.
The wild hair, yeah. The way he would just kind of seemed to,
haphazard.
yeah, like an artist would be. And artists typically don't make a lot of money,
right,
with the exception of a few.
Well, he didn't need a lot of money. He spent a lot of time sitting in a boat thinking, and maybe that's why he decided that one of the most important things we can do is the way we think, and that the way we think is pretty stinking thinking. So that's how he came up with this. I think this insight, which other people now have replicated, but we still have not really gotten down to the bottom of, well, how do you go about developing this newer way of thinking that's going to create the four things we want that you mentioned. We don't want, instead, why is it that the big puzzle we have to solve is, why is it that we create fear, hate, scarcity, and war when everybody wants happiness, unconditional love, abundance, and peace?
Well, how do you do this, though? I can't wait to hear the formula. But how do you do this, for example, when there's always going to be an adversary? So you have to be prepared for that adversary. If somebody attacks you, you're not creating the war. You're trying to protect yourself. And, of course, in doing so, there's a war. But you wouldn't want to just give in. You wouldn't want Hitler, going back to the Hitler example, I mean, you wouldn't have wanted Hitler to just come over here and say, okay, you're mine now.
Well, that's certainly true. We have this balance. But, our ancestors had to be confrontative. Our ancestors, when you remember, lived on separate hills. And there was scarce food between the two hills. And the only way you could survive was to be more physically powerful than the tribe on the other hill. So we developed tribal allegiances, and a group of people could be more powerful than a single person. A single person could not land a whale that could feed a whole group of people. You take a whole group of people that could perhaps conquer a wild animal or subdue another tribe to get the necessary food. So being confrontative and warlike was really adaptive for our ancestors. But on the other hand, they did not have the intelligence, they didn't have the ability to use the language and the imagination that we have subsequently developed. And with the imagination now, we become so powerful, we create products that nature has never created. Not only do we create telephones and computers and radios, we create big bombs.
Right.
And that's where the choice comes in. Now we can educate ourselves where our ancestors didn't have that ability. But instead we continue to build more powerful weapons. We're no longer using teeth and bows and arrows and weapons that kill a few people. We've developed weapons that kill everything in a matter of seconds.
And that's horrible. Dr. Peck, can you hang on a bit? We've got to take a weather break and a few commercials, and we'll be right back. I can't wait to hear about the details of this. We'll be right back.
Okay.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Sunny to partly cloudy with a thunderstorm during the afternoon and evening hours today, a high of 85 to 88. Partly cloudy later tonight, a low 72 to 75. And we'll have some thunderstorms again during the late day hours tomorrow and Wednesday. Otherwise, it's partly sunny, high of 88 to 92 both days. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Maggie Johnson.
Robin, let's try a little plant trivia. Name this nursery. It's a not-for-profit, and it teaches growing and caring for plants to their students.
Oh, that's easy. Kenny's Place.
Or how about this one? It's a nursery conveniently located between Ocala and Bellevue.
Again, it's Kenny's Place.
Or how about this one? A nursery with a wide variety of just what you need or want at the most reasonable prices.
Kenny's Place, of course.
Kenny's Place at 7677 Southeast 41st Court. Give them a call at 867-1213. It's a caring place for people and plants. It's Kenny's Place.
Good credits, bad credits. It's none of our business because we're not an auto dealer. We're not a bank. We're not your mother. We're OcalaForSale.com. Marion County's marketplace for cars, trucks, and SUVs. We've got thousands of sellers standing by to take your call. No middleman. But hurry, don't walk, don't run. Just sit down and log on to OcalaForSale.com. Prices and inventory change daily. Offer does not include dealer upcharge. Undercutting, rust-proofing, factory surcharge, or delivery fee. See website for details.
Do you have areas that have started sagging or drooping? Is what you're looking at not quite the same as it was years ago? Are there enhancements you've been putting off? Is there serious damage you need fixed? Then call on us, Damage Control Services, when your roof is sagging and the drywall is drooping after a storm, or your home just needs some enhancements. From damage repairs to new construction, Damage Control Services is here to help.
All right, 17 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. This is a very, very cool conversation. It is kind of along the lines of something I think about a lot, more than you might realize. It is
Larry, most of us are thinking about what is our purpose here? What is it we're attempting to do? What's our mind map? What are we looking to accomplish? Most people, what they're thinking about it, how do I get what I want? And the four things you mentioned, we all want peace. People don't want war. If you say,
absolutely,
you support war, most people say, no, I'd much rather have peace than war.
So when most of my life I've been a songwriter, and when I'm 60 years old now, just to give you an idea. And so as a younger man, I always thought, like, the John Lennon song, "All You Need Is Love," or Imagine, where it says, "Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. Nothing to kill or die for, the brotherhood of man." And then you would look at John Lennon and say, gosh, he's got more possessions than any of us.
Yeah.
And I often would think, well, I can't change the world, but maybe I can change my world, and maybe I can walk away from people who want to talk to me about hating somebody because of his color or because of his religion or anything. I can just walk away from them because I can't change them, but I can walk away from them. So that was kind of my answer to the problems of how do I live in a peaceful world. I would just simply walk away from those who didn't want peace.
Well, what we can do, though, by our own example, we lead by example, not by edict. Most dictators want to lead by edict,
right?
But we really lead by example. Every person who learns to love themselves is able to influence other people. The new version that I like of the Golden Rule, which is universally pretty much arrived at by religions and secular groups alike, the new version of the Golden Rule is love yourself with the abundance that overflows to enrich the world. That's a very simple statement of the Golden Rule. A second new expression of the Golden Rule that I really like is, what's going to make things better for you and me for now and the future? See, that's a problem-solving sentence. It doesn't blame anybody. It doesn't blame yourself. And if we just accepted that one sentence, we could, and get other people to realize that's the way that gets what we want, we could change the world.
Have you written a book about this? I'm looking through my notes. I don't know that you have a book. Do you have a book?
I'm working on one right now that soon will be, where we're getting it ready for publication, that will explain all of these things. But we do have 3 websites, which the main one is lovingmenow.org. Lovingmenow.org is a series of the basic skills that teach us to love ourselves, including the 7 word changes that are important, and the 2 very still secret love creation skills that teach us the golden rule. So there will be a book coming out.
So
but all of this is free, by the way.
Okay, so the 7 plus 2, that's what that's what Einstein is talking about, the word switches?
Well, I've created the 7 plus 2 formula, but I think it conforms to what Einstein told us. Einstein told us we require a newer way of thinking, but he never told us exactly how to do that. And my good fortune in having the opportunity to listen to thousands of people in my psychiatric career was to learn from them what are the things that work that enable us to change our way of thinking. And that's how the 7 plus 2 formula came.
So can we talk about them? What are the different word switches? And hopefully it won't be E equals MC squared. Hopefully I'll understand it all.
I think you'll find it's very easy to understand. That's what's kind of amusing, how easy it is to make these changes. You'll see as I describe them. The first word change, a substitute, is to say, I think I can, instead of what most people say, why bother, who cares, the hell with it, it's too hard, fork it, whatever.
Ooh.
And then they don't do anything.
I don't have a 7-second button.
Well, I didn't say any nasty word, did I?
Sound like, okay, I don't know what you said there.
He changed the U for another
okay,
vowel.
okay.
Yeah.
And that's okay. So I can. This is something I believe in too. Just saying I can.
Remember the little engine that could? That story that's my favorite. The little engine that, the big engines didn't want to take on the task, but the little engine said, I will do it. I'll go over the hill and bring these toys to the children. He said, I think I can, I think I can. That simple word turns on energy that we've turned off. When we say I can't, then we've given up. It's a give-up statement. We shut down our energy factory. So simply saying I think I can gets our energy turned back on. So that's the first word.
I love that. And that would apply to not only achievements, but also to personal relationships.
Absolutely. Now the second word is I allow instead of he, she, they, or it make me. We spend most of our time blaming other people and not accepting responsibility for ourselves. So one of the most important things if we're going to achieve something in this life to accept responsibility for ourselves. So when we say I allow for they make me, we're taking responsibility for ourselves. We're turning on our energy to take responsibility.
I like that one. Okay.
The third word is a simple word. Instead, you say I could instead of I should. Most people spend a lot of time shoulding on themselves. They get themselves in such a way that they say there's only one right way. That's whatever the dictator, whatever somebody else tells us is the right way. And if we don't do that way, we're either bad people, we deserve to be guilty, or if we say they should, then we arouse our anger and our energy to attack or blame other people, the so-called fight or flight response.
Okay.
But when we say I could instead of I should, we're inviting our mind, our beautiful mind, to say, what are the things I could? We begin to explore alternatives. And when we make the alternatives, we can create many alternatives, then we can choose the one that's wisest. That's what's unique about human beings. We have this imaginative ability. The fourth word change is when we substitute both and for either or. Either or is the way we all start life, thinking into 2 categories. There's a good way and a bad way, the right way and the wrong way. It's us or them. So our innate way of thinking causes us to put everything in 2 categories. We divide the world into good and bad.
Absolutely. Well, let's look
and of course, our side is always the good side, isn't it? We're usually
always
the bad side.
Always. But let's look at real quickly one worldwide example: Palestine and Israel. This month, the UN is supposed to put together a state for Palestine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've, of course, all these years resented the fact that the UN in 1948 created the state of Israel. Mm-hmm. So it could be both and. They both could exist. And I don't see why they can't. And once they do, if they do, I don't understand why they would have to continue to fight as they've done all these years.
Well, it's quite obvious that if we cooperate with one another, we accomplish much more than if we kill one another.
Beautifully said, yeah. I just hope that they get this. Hope your message gets to them and to all of us.
Well, the issue is that it's not them, you see, it's us. Because we do the same thing in our own way. I mean, our Democrats and Republicans are pretty much the same way. We do it in our own system. We
Good
do it in our
point.
own
Yeah.
Educational system.
Good point.
So, see, we have to start by changing ourselves, and instead we think that we're the good guys and they're the bad guys. As long as we think in those two categories, we'll continue to have conflict. And instead of fighting with
Well-
bows and arrows and sticks and stones, now we're fighting with the kind of weapons that no longer can allow us to.
And I've always thought this is how I think. Whenever you're in a debate with somebody, and it doesn't have to be a political debate, but if you're in a debate with somebody, then somebody else has a different idea than you do. And if you enter that debate with the understanding that that other person is smart, like if you have purely conservative viewpoint and somebody else has purely liberal viewpoints, you say to yourself, is that guy smart or not? Because if he's smart, then there's something maybe I'm missing. Maybe I'm the one who needs to adjust my thinking. And hopefully he thinks the same way about your intelligence level and says, well, maybe I'm the one missing something. And maybe that's where the both and can play a role in making a better world.
Well, when we can learn to negotiate our differences instead of feel that we have to win, you see, the basic way we think is that it has to be our way. There's one sentence. We can summarize all of the problems we're having in one sentence. And that sentence is, my way is the only right way.
Mm-hmm. I love
As
that.
long as people keep thinking that my way is the only right way, it means that the other way, obviously, is not worth anything, and it's okay if we do whatever we can to get rid of it or destroy it or whatever.
Okay, so I took us on a tangent. We were up to 4. What's the fifth one?
Well, the fifth one, I think, is the most important one, and that's the statement I mentioned earlier that really is a modern expression of the Golden Rule. It says, what will make things better for me and you, or my tribe and your tribe, if we go from the single to the plural, what will make things better for me and you, or my tribe and your tribe, for now and the future? That is strictly a problem-solving sentence. It invites our mind to say, what's going to make things better? How can I use my energy to make things better? Now, you know the definition of love, interesting definition of love is the direction of energy for the benefit of someone or something. That's what love is. It's the benefit of energy for the benefit of someone or something.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Now, every one of us are energy-producing factories. The characteristic of life is that life produces energy. So what we have the ability to do is to direct our energy for problem-solving. Instead, we divide the world into two categories, good and bad, right and wrong, and that's where the source of the problem is.
Can I interject something here? I don't watch the show Shark Tank, but I did see a YouTube video on one guy, and if you know the show Shark Tank, it's these guys and ladies who bring ideas to these wealthy people, and then they either decide to invest in them or not. So there was a farmer who invented a way to somehow put a collar around the base of a tree, and it would somehow make the tree grow better or something. I don't know the details, but the point I want to get at is he had an idea on how to make the farmer's life better, whoever would buy this product, and he only wanted $1 profit from each one. So the Shark Tank guys were all over him because you're never going to make a business out of this. If you only make $1, you have to make more than $1. So he refused. He said, "No, this is all. That's enough for me. I don't need any more than that." And I think one of the Shark Tank guys softened up and said, "You know what? I think I'm going to help you out." But I think what you're saying is, if I'm a salesperson and I want to sell something to somebody, I have to believe that what I'm selling that person is going to benefit the person,
Right.
and then I will also benefit because I'll get $1 out of the deal, not $100, but $1. You know, and I think sometimes greed is a part of the problem too.
Absolutely. Well, animals, are satisfied with enough.
No.
When we've developed the language, we develop the ability to conceive of infinity. So all of a sudden now we've conceived of a life after death. We've conceived of all the money in the world and so on. We've conceived of greed. We want it all.
Well, you're like a guru. You're like a guru. I really think Dr. Donald Pett is the Albert Einstein who I thought we were going to hear something from Albert Einstein, but this is from you.
Well, that's very complimentary. I wish that were so, but I in my own...
That's the humble person right there.
I've learned from other people, and I attribute whatever I have to the opportunity to share the wisdom of other people. I'm simply a collector of wisdom.
Doctor, you are a wise man. I can't wait to go to the website. I apologize. We're out of time. The websites are important. Give us one, and then we'll take it from there. We'll put it on Facebook.
Well, I would suggest lovingmenow.org. Lovingmenow.org.
Okay.
www. And I've arranged for a local radio celebrity, actually, who's also a professional speaker, to record these skills. So they're very easy to listen to. You can read them or listen to them on the website, and we guarantee that everything we do is going to be free forever.
Wow.
Wow. Nice.
Thank you so much for taking some time.
Just one other thing I'd like to suggest. You can help, and anyone who goes to the site can help by becoming a Love Creation teacher. All you have to do is pass the site forward to other people. That way we start a domino effect that can circle the world. One person can start a domino effect that can circle the world. How about that?
That is awesome. You might be the one. You might be the one who's changing the world for the better. Thank you so much.
You might be the one.
I think I'm just the person who turns on the microphone.
Yeah, but you're spreading the message. That's the key issue.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. We have to bend down and be humble to that one. All right. Well, we're working together. Let's end it with that. Thank you so much again for being on the air with us. I loved the conversation, and have a great day. Thank you. Come back anytime.
Well, you call me back, and I'll be there.
All right.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
Don Nottingham of the Miami Dolphins here, proud to be this year's chairman of the Special Olympics Champions for Champions event. Come join players from the world of professional sports, sharing their stories with a great dinner on Friday, September 18th, and or play at Candler Hills Golf Club on Saturday, September 19th. Either way, you'll be helping the Special Olympics of Marion County Champions for Champions. Call 988-7998 for details. That's 988-7998. Please help our Special Olympians.
What you may have missed on the John Tesh Radio Show.
Women are more likely to feel stressed at night than men, and here's why. Because even after working all day, women typically come home to chores and childcare, while men kick back with a beer and watch TV, right? The way we feel when we indulge in a forbidden food like a Philly cheesesteak has a major impact on our ability to stick with our diet. Pet ownership, it has been linked to less stress, lower blood pressure, and better heart health.
Intelligence for your life on the John Tesh Radio Show.